Hari Hari Bol. Jai. 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 Yat kripa tamaham vande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo Namo Mahabhadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratishe Nama Nityanandam Namastubhyam Premananda Pradayane Kalo Kalmashanashaya Janava Pataye Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavasya Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavachai Namo Namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. First of all, I'm offering my unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Gurudev, Nitya Leela Pravishta, Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa, Ashtatara Sata Sri Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada. And then I'm offering my same unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Siksha Gurudevs, Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Ashtatara Sata Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj. And Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Astatarasata Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering my same unlimited Dandavat pranams to the lotus feet of all of my Shri Rupa Nuga Guru Varga. And I'm offering my Dandavat pranams to all the Vaishnavas and all the Vaishnavis. So, we've completed 5 chapters of Nectar of Devotion thus far. It's a little louder. So, now we're in chapter 6. We're going to begin this chapter today. And this chapter is titled, How to Discharge Devotional Service. We've heard up to this point all the glories of devotional service and the glories of the mood of purity of all the devotees. So, that means we should find out how we can discharge devotional service. So many of us have been making an effort for a good portion of our life in trying to discharge devotional service. But we've got a long way to go. If anyone thinks that they have arrived, they are very much in illusion. Because pure devotional service is extremely rare. We are meant for that. It is not that we do not have an eligibility, because we just read the whole chapter, which is titled Eligibility of the Candidate for this Devotional Service. And what was the eligibility? No. It was not mentioned there in one, well, for Ragmar, but we haven't come that far yet. Just for, what is the eligibility for someone to take up this process of pure devotional service that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to give to the jivas?
Want another bad guess?
Fate?
7-7?
Fate? Srila.
Is that you're willing to accept the process. That's the eligibility. That's the first stage. That you're willing to accept the process. Yes? That's why we just read so many beautiful statements by Srila Prabhupada. Haribol, it still should be a little louder. On this mic. That's why we read so many beautiful statements, how Srila Prabhupada is making this point a number of times. That no one is excluded from any part of the whole world in taking up this path of pure devotional service. Right? He made that point so many times, in such beautiful ways also, that has been established by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and all of our previous acharyas. So, this book, Nectar of Devotion, Srila Prabhupada wrote this for his new disciples who were beginning to take up the process of bhakti in their lives. And he wanted everyone to know the whole science of bhakti rasa from Srila Rupa Goswami, which is titled Bhakti Rasa Amrita Sindhu. And that book, Srila Prabhupada was giving a summary of in the form of the Nectar of Devotion. And in actuality, The book is very vast, especially with the commentaries of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas. But Srila Prabhupada shortened it and summarized it in his book Nectar of Devotion. And there are 4 parts of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and Srila Prabhupada used most of the book. He's describing in very great detail the beginning stages of sadhana bhakti. We've already read and discussed that there's 3 stages. What are those 3 stages? What are the 3 levels of bhakti?
Sadhana Bhakti, Bhav Bhakti.
Yes, sadhana bhakti, devotional service in practice, practicing. Bhav bhakti, devotional service in spontaneous love. That's what Prabhupada calls it. And prem bhakti, devotional service in pure love of Godhead. Prem. So the pathway is very long, from coming from Shraddha all the way up to Bhav and all the way up to Prem. Very long pathway. Is not to be traversed practically even in one lifetime. Jai Jagannath, Jai Shri Shri Guru Gauranga, Radha Govinda Jiyo Ki Jai. Not to be traversed practically even in one lifetime, 2 lifetimes, 3, maybe 10, who knows? To come to the stage of Uttam Mahabhagavad Vaishnava is a rare thing in this world. So the majority of the devotees are in the beginning levels, Kanishta, and they're beginning to adopt the process in their lives, and they're striving to improve. So it doesn't matter how many times we'll read such chapters which are describing how to discharge devotional service. Because what is devotional service? What is this thing called bhakti? This is a transcendental reality. Transcendental. It is not material. And where is it stemming from? It is stemming from Ladini Shakti potency of Sri Krishna, which is Srimati Radharani herself. So, we should know that any connection with pure bhakti is directly the potency of Srimati Radhika. Directly. She is the highest prem bhakti in the form of Mahabhav. That is her. That is her constitution. She's made of that. And any devotional service that is being rendered to Sri Krishna in all the universes by the infinite number of jivas, that is her domain. No one can serve Krishna except through Krishna's internal potency. Srimati Radharani. She is the queen. She is the Rani of all worship. No one can approach Krishna except through his internal potency. So this is why the Mahamantra has her name there, along with Krishna's name, continually. Hare Krishna. Hare is in the vocative case, calling out, O Radha, O Hare, O the energy of the Lord. And Krishna, the possessor of the energy. So this is not a small thing to actually come in contact with pure devotional service in this human form of life. We should understand what it is. We should understand what it is constituted of. We should understand how we can begin to practice it in our life. When Srila Gurudev came, you all know, he made this point again and again, that without entering into Uttama Bhakti, no one can develop to the higher stages of Bhakti. What is Uttama Bhakti? That's one of the first shlokas of the entire Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. It's the definition verse of Bhakti, yes. What is it now? Anya Shunya. Repeat after me. Anya Bilashita. Shunyam. Jnana Karmadi. Anavritam. Anukulyena. Krishna. Anushilanam. Bhaktir Uttama. So, Bhaktir Uttama means topmost bhakti. Bhaktir Uttama. So, what are the characteristics of that? It is very clearly explained by Rupa Goswami in this verse. That, first of all, Anukulyena, Krishna Anushilanam. Anukul means favorable. Because someone can do the activities outwardly of bhakti, but have an unfavorable mood. There are many examples given. To remember Krishna, we have been reading, is the main principle, and never forget him. Kamsa was doing that. Kamsa was actually so absorbed day and night, but in an unfavorable mood. He wanted to kill Krishna. So the study of this this definition verse is necessary for every devotee, and that's why our Gurudev had it recited at every one of his festivals without fail. Not a single place I've gone with Gurudev did he not mention this verse, because it's the basis. So many persons will come and be exposed to bhakti, but Gurudev has not come to speak to the general masses of people. He has not come to speak to the general masses of people. Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj also told that I do not want to speak to the general masses of the devotees. I want to speak to the preachers. Please don't, because it disturbs, it distracts. I want to speak to the preachers. And the preachers will repeat what I've told. So, if someone is in a very elementary class, you don't bring a university professor there to try to teach them ABC, although we have that case here. Yes. But they are devotee kids, so. But you don't do that. You bring in an elementary level teacher just to teach on the basic levels, because that will be a waste of the time. And also, students will not be able to understand what the advanced teacher is teaching. Same way, in this pathway of pure devotional service, we have seen how Srila Prabhupada had to come very down. Very, very much he had to come down to very low and basic level, and continued that the entire 12 years. But in his books, then he's speaking to all. But in his lectures, he's adjusting his presentation on a basic level. Because unless somebody understands the foundational knowledge, they will not be able to understand the higher. They can try. They can try to jump up. Yeah? Jump. You know? But that's not possible. It is not possible. So someone has to go advance step by step. So that advancing step by step is to understand what level you are on, and then to apply that. To apply that in your own life. Because this is a very personal process between the jiva and Krishna. And Krishna knows everything. And he knows everything of our past, our present, our future. And Krishna, he will give us the necessary adjustments. But we have to be humble and simple-hearted and not deceitful. And then Krishna will send to us Sri Guru, and from following the instructions of the Guru, then gradually we will receive the mercy of Krishna more and more and more. Yasya prasadat Bhagavat. What does that mean? Yasya prasadat Bhagavat prasadam. You know? You know? Yasya prasadat Bhagavat prasadam. Yeah. I'm looking at Damodar Prabhu.
But the mercy of Krishna, one receives the mercy of the Spirit.
Go over each word. Yasya prasadat Bhagavat prasado.
Yasya prasadat Bhagavat mercy. Bhagavat prasad.
Of who? Yasya means that person, Guru, who this whole prayer is about. By his mercy, then
Bhagavat prasad, one receives the mercy
of Bhagavan, of Krishna. Yes. By his mercy, one receives. It's not the opposite. Bhagavat prasado yasya prasado. No. No. Of course, it is by the mercy of Krishna that we even meet Guru. But if you want to get the mercy of Krishna, Krishna has sent Guru, and you have to get Guru's mercy. You can't skip over and jump over Guru. Never, never, never. Not in the history of the entire creation of millions of universes has anyone ever been able to achieve the mercy of Bhagavan without the mercy of Sri Guru. It does not exist anywhere. Anywhere. Why? Because who is Guru? Who is Guru?
The embodiment of Krishna's mercy.
Yes. He is Krishna Kripa Sri Murti. Sri Murti means the very form, the very embodiment of Krishna's mercy. When the jivas become eligible to meet Sri Guru, then Krishna arranges for that. And now they begin to enter into the process of bhakti. So all of this is going to be described by Rupa Goswami so nicely. What are the 64 principles of bhakti? So Srila Rupa Goswami states that his elder brother, Sanatana Goswami, he has compiled Hari Bhakti Vilas, this book, Hari Bhakti Vilas, for the guidance of the Vaishnavas. And therein, he has mentioned many rules and regulations to be followed by the Vaishnavas. We should know of the existence of this book. Prabhupada is telling this to his brand new disciples. We should know of the existence of this book. Written by who? Sanatana Goswami, the brother and guru of Rupa Goswami. And what has he put into this book? Many rules and regulations to be followed by the Vaishnavas, because this book is compiled for the guidance of the Vaishnavas. So some of them are very important amongst all these rules and regulations, and they're very prominent. And Srila Rupa Goswami will now mention these very important items for our benefit. The purport of this statement is that Srila Rupa Goswami proposes to mention only basic principles, not details. For example, a basic principle is that one has to accept a spiritual master. But exactly how one follows the instructions of this spiritual master, that is considered a detail. For example, if one is following the instruction of his spiritual master, and that instruction is different from the instruction of another spiritual master, well, this is called detailed information. But the basic principle of acceptance of a spiritual master, that basic principle is good everywhere. That basic principle is good everywhere, although the details may be different. So Srila Rupa Goswami does not wish to enter into details here, but he wants to place before us only the principles. Because Hari Bhakti Vilas is very big. There are so many details in that book. But Rupa Goswami is not going to go there. Now, he mentions the basic principles as follows. Here's the numbering system. Number 1, number 2, number 3. Now, number 1. What do you think that is?
To accept the lotus feet of the spiritual master.
The shelter, yeah.
The shelter.
Yes. Guru Pada Ashraya. The actual Sanskrit name you'll find in Gurudev's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Bindu book. There's the Sanskrit term for each one of these. But Prabhupada, this is like super Sanskrit light. Super. We have barely read any, I don't even think there's barely one single Sanskrit verse that has been quoted by Prabhupada thus far in all of these 6 chapters. Purely in English. Why?
Because
what do you think, Damodar?
So it's more graspable?
Yeah. Because too much Sanskrit for a Western audience who are new, it will become too much. That was Prabhupada's style. In his lectures, he would quote verses. Yes, he would quote verses. But here, he wants this to be in English for the English-speaking audience, on the street even. And he knows that this book is going to go to people who have never even heard of Krishna before. So he's making it very, very accessible. So, number 1 principle, out of all the 64 principles of bhakti, is to accept the shelter of the lotus feet of a bona fide spiritual master. Now you'll notice these following principles are related with that one. Number 2, becoming initiated by the spiritual master. That's a separate principle. You don't become initiated the moment that you meet the guru and accept shelter. But at any point in time when Shri Guru decides that you should now do that. And when you also feel the necessity. So becoming initiated by the spiritual master and learning how to discharge devotional service from him. That's the second principle. Yes, it's the same. Yes. Because why? Siksha Diksha. Both are contained within this principle of accepting the shelter of the spiritual master. Then one will automatically learn from him how to discharge devotional service, and also will accept initiation, which means the contract. That's the contract. It's a contract. You're signing it. Number 3. This is the big one. Guess what that one is?
To follow the words.
Yes. To obey. To obey. What's the use? If you're hearing from him and he's teaching you how to perform bhakti, but then you don't even obey his instructions. Not only that, you have to obey the orders of the spiritual master with faith and devotion. Yes. Not just obey like in the military. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No. You obey with faith and devotion. Now, if somebody doesn't do the third one, are they going to advance? No. They're not. Because you want to get the mercy of Guru, you have to please him. Do you think that Guru is pleased by speaking so much confidential instructions and then the disciple just ignores them and doesn't follow them? No, he cannot be pleased that way. He may be compassionate to you and feel sorry for you that you can't do that. He may also be, to some extent, forgiving. But it's not a free ride. It goes 2 ways. There's a contract. You follow the instructions of Guru, you get his mercy. You don't follow his instructions, you don't get his mercy. And if you get his mercy, you get Bhagavan's mercy. We just told that. Number 4, following in the footsteps of great acharyas, teachers, under the direction of the spiritual master. Sadhu Vartma Anugamanam. Sadhu Vartma Anugamanam. What pathway that the great transcendental acharyas have given under the direction of Guru, you're following in their footsteps. Number 5, inquiring from the spiritual master how to advance in Krishna consciousness. That's a principle. Inquiring from Shri Guru how to advance. This is the daily mood of the disciple. That's why the disciple is very obedient. That's why the disciple has faith in Guru. That's why the disciple tries to follow what instructions Guru has given. Because why? Because he wants to advance. Wants to advance. Number 6, being prepared to give up anything material. Being prepared to give it up, anything material, for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is a principle. Number 6 principle out of 64. If someone comes to Guru, but they don't want to give up their former sinful activities, material attachments, all of this, they can't get very far. We have to be prepared. If we don't hear Hari Katha, we don't come to classes, we don't engage in kirtan, in performing our personal sadhan bhajan, then we will not taste something. We will not taste what we need to taste in order to give up the material things. There's a process. 3 minutes? You usually let me squeeze. You usually do. I don't go beyond that.
No problem.
Yeah. Yes. Being prepared to give up anything material for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. And then in parentheses, it says here, this means that when we are engaged in the devotional service of Krishna, we must be prepared. Like to give up. And also, we have to accept something which we may not like to accept. Yes. Then, 7, residing in a sacred place of pilgrimage like Dwarka or Vrindavan. These are the first 10 principles. These are all connected. All of these are interconnected. Place of pilgrimage like Dwarka or Vrindavan. Number 8, accepting only what is necessary, or dealing with the material world only as far as necessary.